There you go.
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to waive competitive bidding and to accept a repair quote of $26,100 plus any applicable tax with Rebuild It Services Group LLC to repair a clarifier drive for the Nolan Water Resource Recovery Facility.
Okay. Mark,
I move we suspend the rules and go to the third reading and final reading.
Justin,
Second.
we have a motion second to go to the third and final reading. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes. An ordinance to waive competitive bidding and to accept a repair quote of $26,100 plus any applicable tax with Rebuild It Services Group LLC to repair a clarifier drive for the Nolan Water Resource Recovery Facility.
Any final comments from the council? Everybody good? Okay. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all. Number three, an ordinance to waive the requirements to form competitive bidding and to authorize a joint funding agreement with U.S. Geological Survey for stream gauge operations and maintenance and water quality sampling and monitoring at various locations in the city of Fayetteville in 2018, with the amount paid by the city not to exceed $61,721. Kit.
Whereas since 1998, the City of Fayetteville has participated in a joint funding agreement with the U.S. Geological Survey for operation and maintenance of urban stream gauging stations to record data concerning rainfall and runoff. And whereas in 2015, the city modified its agreement with USGS to begin monitoring major pollutants at Town Branch and Mud Creek, and the city will continue this monitoring to provide a more accurate information regarding the pollutants leaving the city at these points. And whereas the proposed 2018 program would remain unchanged from 2017, with the exception of the elimination of one storm sample to account for a drop in available cooperative funding through the USGS program. And whereas the USGS, which purchased and installed the monitoring equipment at no cost to the city, provides these services at a cost much lower than the city could receive from any other provider. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby determines an exceptional situation exists in which competitive bidding is deemed not feasible or practical, and therefore waives the requirements of formal competitive bidding and approves a joint funding agreement, a copy of which is attached to this ordinance and made a part hereof, between the City of Fayetteville and the U.S. Geological Survey for stream gauge operation and maintenance and water quality sampling and monitoring at various locations in the City of Fayetteville in 2018, with the amount paid by the City of Fayetteville not to exceed $61,721.
Okay. Tim.
Thank you, Mayor. As Kid said, in 2015, this contract was modified with USGS to begin monitoring the flow and major pollutants at the two locations, which are major outfalls from the city, Town Branch and Mud Creek. The data is being gathered both continuously and through sampling at various times in order to more closely model the pollutant concentrations in these streams. This will give us accurate information on the total amount of various constituents being measured leaving the city at these points. In 2015, the city contributed $61,721 to the program, and USGS contributed $10,000 in funds, as well as providing and installing equipment at no charge to the city. In 2016 and 2017, the programs were approved at the same funding levels and the same scope of work. The proposed 2018 program will remain unchanged except for the elimination of the one storm sample. The proposed program would again include sampling and determination of various pollutant concentrations at the two locations within the cities. These locations would track continuous information regarding flow, turbidity, temperature, and conductivity. The sampling of these locations would provide data on nutrients, major ions, suspended sediment, and bacteria. The station located in Town Branch is on Armstrong, and the one on Mud Creek is on Gregg Avenue. Monitoring just upstream of the West Fork allows the city to determine Fayetteville's contribution to that stream, and then the one on Mud Creek goes to the Illinois River with a continuing discussion about phosphorus levels on the Illinois between the states of Arkansas and Oklahoma. It'll be beneficial to have a baseline from which to judge the progress of measures developed to reduce pollutants there. In addition to the items above, the recommendation also includes maintaining the Crest stage gauge at Nokoska Creek on Township. This gauge has been useful in the past in determining the intensity of storm events and the extent of any flooding that they caused. The total cost of the program would be $60,721, and they will be split 50-50 between water and sewer and the city's engineering department. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
What questions do we have for Tim on this? Okay. What public comment do we have on this? Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to the council. Mark?
This did go through the Water Sewer Committee. This is a continuation of a long and good agreement with the U.S. Geological Survey. They provide a lot of data, like Tim mentioned, for baseline quality sampling. So I move that we go to the second reading.
Okay, Adela?
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to go to the second reading. Adele, you gotta be, I need you on the board thing.
I did already.
There we go.
There it went.
All right. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to waive the requirements of formal competitive bidding and authorize a joint funding agreement with the U.S. Geological Survey for stream gauge operation and maintenance and water quality sampling and monitoring at various locations in the city of Fayetteville in 2018, with the amount paid by the city not to exceed $61,721.
Mark?
I move that we suspend the rules and go to the third and final reading.
Sarah?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to go to the third and final reading. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to waive the requirements of formal competitive bidding and authorize a joint funding agreement with the U.S. Geological Survey for stream gauge operation and maintenance and water quality sampling and monitoring at various locations in the city of Fayetteville in 2018, with the amount paid by the city not to exceed $61,721.
Okay. Any final comments from the council on this? Mark?
Nope.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
no problem.
No. It's all good.
It's all good.
Mayor, did you take public comment?
I did.
Okay,
I
good.
didn't get
Thank
it.
you.
All right. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
All righty. Number 4, an ordinance to amend the Timber Trail Subdivision Plan Zoning District to allow use Unit 8, single-family dwellings as a use by right on lots 100 through 103. Kip?
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby changes that portion of the Timber Trails Residential Plan Zoning District as depicted and described on Exhibits A, B, and C attached to the Planning Department's agenda memo to allow use Unit 8, single-family dwellings on lots 100 through 103. All other terms, conditions of approval, and statements of commitments remain unchanged and effective. Section 2, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby amends the official zoning map of the City of Fayetteville to reflect the zoning change provided in Section 1.
Okay.
Jonathan Kurth, the City Planning Division. This piece of property is on the east slope of Mount Sequoia, just west of Happy Hollow Elementary School. As the mayor noted, this is a request to amend the PZD to allow use Unit 8 single-family dwellings in addition to the currently permitted use Unit 9 two-family dwellings. This piece of property was originally part of the Cliffside PZD approved in 2004. It was a highly prescriptive PZD that only allowed single-family units on some lots and only two-family units on other lots. Ordinances since that time have made it particularly difficult to develop two-family dwellings on a lot of these lots. They're extremely narrow. The access management ordinance requires a curb cut separation of 50 feet between driveways or other design ordinances that aren't accommodating necessarily with the layout of the way the subdivision was made. Adopted plan considerations for this development include that this is a residential neighborhood area, which is intended to encourage a diversity of residential building types. To the north is the Cliffside multifamily development. This subdivision currently has some two-family and single-family dwellings, and it segues to larger lot single-family dwellings south of here. Staff feels that the request increases the potential housing diversity, and in that sense does meet the future land use map designation for the property. That said, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of an amendment to the existing RPZD, by a vote of 8-0. Staff also recommends in favor of this, and with that said, I'd be happy to take any questions you all may have.
What question do we have in council, Jonathan, on this? We're good, okay. What public comment do we have on this? Okay, we'll bring back to the council. Sarah?
I have not received any feedback from the neighborhood one way or the other on this, so I'm gonna go ahead and motion that we suspend the rules and go to the second reading.
Okay, Adela?
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to go to the second reading. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend the Timber Trail subdivision plan zoning district to allow use unit 8, single-family dwellings as a use by right on lots 100 through 103.
Adela?
I move we suspend the rules and go to the third and final reading.
Sarah?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to go to the third and final reading. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend the Timber Trail subdivision plan zoning district to allow use unit 8, single-family dwellings as a use by right on lots 100 through 103.
Any final comments from the council? Okay. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
Okay, number 5. Thank you all. Number 5, an ordinance to approve vacation 17-5977 property located at 357 Southwest Avenue to vacate a portion of an underdeveloped street right-of-way and a portion of an alley right-of-way. Kit?
Whereas the city council has the authority under ACA 14-54-104 to vacate public grounds or portions thereof which are not required for corporate purposes. And whereas the city council has determined that the following described portions of street and alley rights-of-way are not required for corporate purposes. Now therefore, be it ordained by the city council of the city of Fayetteville, Arkansas, section 1, that the city council of the city of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby vacates portions of street and alley rights-of-way as described in Exhibit B attached to the Planning Department's memo, section 2. A copy of this order, duly certified by the city clerk along with a map attached as Exhibit A to the Planning Department's memo, shall be filed in the office of the Washington County Circuit Clerk. Section 3, that this vacation approval is subject to the following condition: any relocation of or damage to existing utilities or existing facilities shall be at the owner-developer's expense.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This particular piece of property is on the west side of West Avenue, just south of the library and north of Prairie Street. As was so ably noted, this request is to vacate 2 pieces of right-of-way, one on the east side of the applicant's property and one on the west. The main issues that staff considered in this request was that the west side piece of right-of-way is, well, neither of them are built, but the west side piece of right-of-way is one of the only remaining pieces of this portion of paper alley existing in this area. To the north, it was vacated in 2007, and to the south, it was vacated in 2016. A second main consideration for staff is the portion that is adjacent to the city's built right-of-way on West Avenue is significantly over-dedicated, if you will. The street section in that area has a required required right-of-way width of 21.5 feet from center line. As it is currently, it's closer to 41.5 feet, which is more similar to a principal arterial street, which West Avenue certainly is not and is never intended to be built out as such. Additionally, there were no utility objections to this request, so staff is in full support of this, and the Planning Commission forwarded it to you all with a recommendation of approval of 8-0.
Okay,
Any questions I'm answering?
yes, what questions do we have from the council? Okay. What public comment do we have? Okay, I'll bring it back to the council. And so, what shall we do? Okay, Sarah,
Move we suspend the rules and go to the second reading.
Mark,
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second to go to the second reading. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to approve VAC 17-5977 for property located at 357 Southwest Avenue to vacate a portion of an undeveloped street right-of-way and a portion of an alley right-of-way.
Okay, Sarah,
I move we suspend the rules and go to the third and final reading.
Mark,
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second to go to the third and final reading. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch, Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to approve VAC 17-5977 for property located at 357 Southwest Avenue to vacate a portion of an undeveloped street right-of-way and a portion of an alley right-of-way.
Do we have any final comments from the council? Okay, Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch, Latour.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all. Number 6, an ordinance to rezone that property described in zoning petition RZN 17-6000 for approximately .92 acres located at 2870 East Joyce Boulevard from C1 Neighborhood Commercial to UT Urban Thoroughfare. Kip.
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby changes the zone classification of the property shown on the map, Exhibit A, and the legal description, Exhibit B, both attached to the Planning Department's agenda memo, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial to UT Urban Thoroughfare. Section 2, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby amends the official zoning map of the City of Fayetteville to reflect the zoning change provided in Section 1.
John.
Thank you. This particular piece of property is on the north side of Joyce Boulevard, just northwest of the intersection of Crossover and Joyce. Is the location of the current Happy Bays Car Wash, which is a self-service and drive-through car wash. As a bit of background to the request, the original applicant's request was for C2 thoroughfare commercial. There was a confusion between the applicant and staff as to what could be allowed and how that would work for their business. And when they came before the Planning Commission and discussed the item further there, the Planning Commission recommended that they revise their request to UT Urban Thoroughfare. With a better understanding of the Urban Thoroughfare zoning district, the applicant was amenable to that request and noted on the record that they accepted that change. That said, with regards to adopted plans for this property, this is city neighborhood area, which if you're familiar with our future land use map, encourages a wide diversity of uses, residential, non-residential, and in varying degrees of density, and preferably in a mixed-use pattern, which is readily accommodated by the UT Urban Thoroughfare zoning district. That said, it can readily meet several of the city's goals, including to create more of a traditional town form style development. Issues that staff looked at with this piece of property were, in regards to this request, is that the existing car wash is currently non-conforming, despite the fact that this is a very auto-oriented area. With the revision of the request, the Planning Commission did forward the request to you all by a vote of 8-0 with a recommendation of approval. Staff is also in favor of the revised request to UT Urban Thoroughfare. Do you have any questions I may answer?
Okay, any questions? Okay, any public comment on this?
Mayor, I think the applicant's here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's the applicant. Yes, please.
A small adjustment there. My name is Jonathan Wakefield. I'm the New Store Development Director for Christian Brothers Automotive. We're the applicant for the Urban Thoroughfare zoning change. Just want to make myself available if you have any specific questions, concerns, comments about who Christian Brothers is, how we might integrate into the community. There are several things that city rules and stipulations don't allow me to do, such as show you our very nice architectural building. Hopefully somebody cheated and went on our website and looked anyway, but no, I can't certainly ask you to do that. But if you do have any questions, any thoughts, comments, I'm here to answer.
Okay, do we have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now, do we have any public comment? Okay, I'll bring back to the council. Sarah?
I move we suspend the rules and go to the second reading.
Mark?
I'll second that.
We have a motion to second to go to the second reading. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Kennett,
Yes.
Bunch,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 17-6000 for approximately .92 acres located at 2870 East Joyce Boulevard from C1 Neighborhood Commercial to UT Urban Thoroughfare.
Okay. Sarah?
Motion to suspend the rules and go to the third and final reading.
Adela?
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to go to the third and final reading. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Kennett,
Yes.
Bunch. Yes. Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 17-6000 for approximately .92 acres located at 2870 East Joyce Boulevard from C1 Neighborhood Commercial to UT Urban Thoroughfare.
Okay, any final comments from the council? Okay. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Kennett.
Yes.
Bunch. Yes. Latour.
Yes.
Okay, number 7. An ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 17-6018 for approximately .60 acres located at 651 and 711 North Store Avenue from RMF 40 residential multifamily 4 units per acre to RIU residential intermediate urban. Kip?
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby changes the zone classification of the property shown on the map, Exhibit A, and the legal description, Exhibit B, both attached to the Planning Department's agenda memo from RMF-40 residential multifamily 40 units per acre to RI-U residential intermediate urban. Section 2, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby amends the official zoning map of the City of Fayetteville to reflect the zoning change provided in Section 1.
Okay. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This particular piece of property is a few blocks north of the University of Arkansas campus. It's roughly between Leverett and Garland, a couple blocks east of the Garland Avenue parking garage that the U of A owns. The adopted plan for this area for the future land use map designates it as city neighborhood area. Similar to the last rezoning, it's an area that encourages a wide variety of uses and densities. Staff does feel that the request is consistent with that in that it does allow various different patterns of missing middle housing. You can do single family, 2-family, 3-family, or 4-family houses. One consideration with this request is that it does remove the multifamily zoning or multifamily use from the allowed uses. The trade-off is that this allows a much greater flexibility in lot area and lot width requirements. If you've had the opportunity to drive this site, it's extremely steep terrain, and this kind of flexibility makes it more feasible to develop it and utilize the property for development purposes. And that said, although there is no density capital or a density maximum associated with the RIU zoning district, staff does feel that the terrain and the size of the property is a natural restraint that will ensure that development on it is compatible with what's already existing. All that said, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this and forwarding this to the City Council by a vote of 8-0, and staff also recommends approval of the RIU zoning district on this piece of property. I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Okay, what questions do we have in the council? Okay. A public comment do we have on this? Okay. We'll bring it back to the council. What's the wishes of the council? John?
Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules and go to the second reading.
Okay, Adela,
I second that motion.
we have a motion and a second to go to the second reading. Do we get our names in there and stuff? Did you get all that, Sandra?
No, it's not recorded yet.
No problem. All right. Now, Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch, yes, Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 17-6018 for approximately .6 acres located at 651 and 711 North Store Avenue from RMF 40 residential multifamily 40 units per acre to RIU residential intermediate urban.
And so, who would like to make a motion? All right, Justin,
Move we suspend the rules and go to the third and final reading.
Adele,
I second that motion.
we have a motion and a second. Yes. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch, yes, Latour.
Yes.
An ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 17-6018 for approximately .6 acres located at 651 and 711 North Store Avenue from RMF 40 residential multifamily 40 units per acre to RIU residential intermediate urban.
Okay, any final comments from the council on this one? Okay. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Smith,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Bunch, yes, Latour.
Yes.
Okay, number 8. An ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 17-6034 for approximately 4.40 acres located at 2468 North Crossover Road from RSF2 residential single-family 2 units per acre to NSG Neighborhood Services General. Kit,
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby changes the zone classification of the property shown on the map, Exhibit A, and the legal description, Exhibit B, both attached to the Planning Department's agenda memo from RSF2 residential single-family 2 units per acre to NSG Neighborhood Services General. Section 2, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby amends the official zoning map of the City of Fayetteville to reflect the zoning change provided in Section 1.
okay. John,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This particular piece of property is northeast of the intersection of Crossover and Township. It's worth noting that it's not exactly on the corner. It's a bit north of there on the east side of the street, or the east side of Crossover, which at that point is a divided state highway. As a little bit of background for this particular request, the council did elect to rezone this property in 2005 to its current RSF2 residential single-family 2 units per acre zoning designation. In September of 2013, the council denied a request to rezone the property to RO residential office. Later that year, the property owner came back again to request RSF8 residential single-family 8 units per acre, which was also denied. With that in mind, the applicant worked with staff in wanting to rezone the property again, having found trouble developing it. Staff felt that the NSL Neighborhood Services Limited Zoning District was an appropriate and compatible zoning district at that area. When it was before the Planning Commission at the January 8, 2018 meeting, the Planning Commission recommended NSG Neighborhood Services General as an alternative. The applicant was amenable to that request and stated that on the record, and it was forwarded to the City Council accordingly. If it's not too much of a bother, I know it's been a topic of conversation, so I'm just going to go a little bit in the detail between the differences between the NSL and NSG zoning districts. Among the permitted uses between those zoning districts, the main distinction is something called Use Unit 12A, and NSG allows Use Unit 12B. Between these two use units, the main distinction is the allowed building size. The uses between them are the same. You can do things like dry cleaners, barber shops, bookstores, restaurants, bakeries. But under Use Unit 12A, which is allowed under the NSL zoning district, these can only be between 1,500 and 3,000 square feet. Whereas under Use Unit 12B, this can go up to 8,000 square feet for a building. And in neither of these cases does this count against you for residential uses. So for example, if you wanted to do 2 apartments above a 3 or 8,000 square foot restaurant, you could without that counting towards your limited building area. Other differences between the 2 zoning districts is NSL allows 10 units per acre, NSG allows 18. They allow the same lot width, same lot areas. The setbacks are slightly more generous in the NSG zoning district, allowing for townhome development. The heights are the same as well. It allows 3 stories in both zoning districts, which is the same as several of the neighborhoods zoned RSF4 in the adjoining properties. As far as the city's adopted plans, this area is designated as residential neighborhood area, which does allow for it's meant to encourage a diverse mixture of residential developments, but there is a note in the future land use map designation that it is appropriate to have some non-residential, low intensity and low intensity non-residential uses along connecting corridors and corners. That said, that was part of staff's reason to support the NSL zoning district, considering crossover roads classification as a major transportation corridor in Fayetteville. I also feel that the NSL zoning district did a good job meeting the city goal for appropriate infill. It has access to existing city streets, water, and sewer. And under either zoning district, it does meet the city's intent for traditional town form to have buildings built at the street with parking either on the side or behind it. I did also include another image here for you if it's readily visible, just to give you an idea of the future land use map that was very deliberately laid out in this part of the city. You can see the 2 blue areas, one near the intersection of crossover with Mission and one with Joyce and crossover. It was very deliberately done to try and limit the ability to develop crossover into a major commercial corridor with strip development similar to what's seen in certain other parts of the city. Other issues to consider with this are rezoning from the existing RSF2 to NSG zoning district. There is going to be an increase in density. The property is currently undeveloped, so any development on the property at all will have some sort of increased traffic, whether it's associated with businesses or residences. Staff felt that the NSL zoning district was an appropriate transition from the crossover Highway 265 to the residential neighborhoods to the east. We weren't so comfortable with the NSG zoning district that it may result in larger developments more appropriately located at those nodes I indicated on the previous slide. And other issues that were brought up, and this was not only at the Planning Commission and agenda session, but since then, were more development related, but just to clarify things, as far as lighting goes, any development on this site other than a single family home will be subject to the same typical city ordinances. All lights need to be shielded and downcast so that they're not shining on into adjacent property. There were questions about access. This crossover road is classified as a principal arterial, which limits the number of curb cuts to 1 every 250 feet. And on top of that, there's an existing median there, so that will be subject to the Arkansas Department of Transportation approval if they wanted to change that. And then one final question was with regards to possible right-of-way access to this property from the east. There is a right-of-way stub out from the Candlewood neighborhood to the northeast, but it is not adjacent to this property. It abuts a property immediately to the east of the applicant's property. Another item I included in here for you for visualization purposes, this was created when the NSG zoning district was originally proposed. I can give you a bit of a scale, bulk, and area concept of how the buildings, the largest building size would be compared to the RSF4 zoning district. That said, getting the Planning Commission's recommendation, as I noted, they revised the request with the applicant's approval to NSG, Neighborhood Services General, and this was forwarded with a recommendation of approval to the City Council by a vote of 7-1. Staff continues to recommend the previously requested NSL zoning district, and we're not in support of the NSG zoning district, and I would be happy to take any questions you all may have. Thank you.
What about the applicant? I'm sure they'd like to make a statement as well. Hang on just a minute, John. Would the applicant like to?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jerry Jones, council members. Well, there was a lot said right there in that comment. I don't know how I can rebut all that. But what my wife and I would like to do tonight is ask for your support in changing our current zoning from RSF2 to Neighborhood Services General. Crossover has changed a lot, and as he has pointed out, particularly on the east side, if you Crossover Road to us has changed so much. If from going north from Township all the way to Joyce Boulevard, if you take a look at that side of the road, you won't see any houses at all the way. No houses have been built on Crossover Road since 1982, my house being the last. And we never dreamed at the time that when the highway was being widened, that we'd be forced with this issue. We started construction on that in 2005, ended in 2006, and have been trying to sell lots on Crossover Road since. So that's a good bit of time to try, and like he said, I've been back 2 or 3 times trying to find some common ground where we could find a zoning area that could make Crossover Road work, or encourage somebody to want to build a home there. But we've had developers out, we've talked to different people, but we've never had a serious buyer come forth and even try to negotiate a price with us in all these past several years. Crossover Road is, I supported the median, and I think Crossover Road has become a much safer road and a much more beautiful road. I know that they recently redid some work with the trees in the median, and when those trees start getting up, that highway is going to be one of the most beautiful corridors we have in Fayetteville. So I'm proud to live on Crossover Road. But it's just time to go back to the drawing board. My wife and I talked about it and decided to contact the city. And we did, and I talked to Mr. Garner Stoll and Mr. Andrew Garner. And they were kind enough to come out and meet with me and walk the property and touch it and walk around it. And we come to the conclusion that Neighborhood Services Limited was a good way to go. But I want to point out to Mr. Stoll, I don't want to seem ungrateful to you for the work that you put forth and when you came out and talked to us. But I didn't realize at the time that there was possibly something else that might help generate potential buyers on this property. And so that's when, but that was before the Planning Commission voted 7-1 to change it from Neighborhood Services Limited to Neighborhood Services General. And that really excited me because I felt like that when I read the differences, it was basically in square footage. I thought that could really be a really big help to me and my family. So I just feel like that Neighborhood Services